Alright, good afternoon everybody. My name is Craig and I welcome you to my blog. Today it's about 4:05 in the afternoon. It's June the 4th, 2024. I'm here on vacation with my wife. We're here for 3.5 weeks. We're a week into our holiday and we're just relaxing. I'm currently relaxing in my air-conditioned room. That baby up there is doing a fantastic job. Now, we've been running that thing for 24 hours, so I don't know what the electricity bill is going to be, but hopefully it's not too bad. Fingers crossed, eh? Anyway, the topic for today is free will. Free will. So we're going to talk about free will and what does it mean for us. Well, for a start, we know that animals and humans all have a will. The one thing we share with our animal counterparts is a sense of will. We have desires and we have the capacity to make choices. We have a brain. We can go this way or we can go this way. It's my belief, and I state this as an opinion. I can't prove this absolutely, but I firmly believe that human beings are distinct from their animal counterparts in one special regard. And that is free will. Animals do not have free will. Animals have will, but they don't have free will. So what's the difference between free will and just the will? Okay, just give me a second. Someone's knocking at the door. Sorry about that. There's kids everywhere up here. Anyway, sorry about that interruption. Now, if you look at an animal, for example, a male dog chasing after a female dog, right? He wants to mate the female dog, okay? The one thing you can notice is that the male dog will keep going. He'll just keep going. He'll keep trying until he succeeds. Now, obviously the male dog has the potential to change his mind. But I believe that the male dog will only change his mind upon the encounter of sufficient psychological or physical duress. Okay? So, in other words, an animal will change its mind only when it's forced to. Now, a human being, on the other hand, we have the capacity to change our mind before the encounter of sufficient psychological and physical duress. That's the critical difference. For example, just imagine a human male chasing after a female in a nightclub or a pub, right? And he wants to take her out and mate her. Okay, I shouldn't say it like that. You know what I mean? The male, as he's chasing the female, he has the freedom just to change his mind at the very last minute. Now, if a male keeps trying to chase a female, then he's susceptible to being stopped via the encounter of physical or psychological duress. For example, another male is going after the girl. He may be factored out. He may be bullied out of the equation. That could happen. But because he has free will, a man could just look at it and say, look, even though there's no bully, even though there's nothing actually stopping him from doing it, he can just change his mind. For example, he finds out the girl is underage. And at that point, he just chooses not to go ahead because of a conscious moral decision not to. I submit to you, this is the fundamental difference between human beings and animals. And I would almost bet my house on it. I don't really have a house. Well, we have this house. We've put a lot of money into this family home here in the Philippines. But I'm almost certain, something in my heart tells me that every single animal, we have thousands of species of animals on this earth. None of them have free will. Yes, they all have their own desires to do things, but the only time an animal changes its attitude is when it's made to. Now think of an animal which is trained by a person, for example, a blind dog, or just a domestic dog, right? An animal is able to emulate free will, but doesn't actually have free will. It ultimately does what it's trained to do. For example, you use positive reinforcement. For example, an animal does something, or the dog does something good, so you feed it, you give it a biscuit. And so the dog changes its attitude either through negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement. So that's essentially free will. Now, one of my issues is with I'm trying to get the words out. Actually, there's not really that much more to say. So I did promise you I was going to make a blog. Every blog will be at least 10 minutes long. 10 minutes long and less than 20 minutes. So I think that's one of the important things to realise. Now, when you think about it, our entire justice system is based on the acknowledgement of free will. For example, let's suppose, for argument's sake, that I went to a shopping centre and pulled out a gun and killed 5 people, exactly at 5 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. Okay, so I'm caught and I stand trial for this crime, and my defence was between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 3:15 in the afternoon. I no longer had free will. I left my free will at the door, so to speak. Now, would a judge in his right or her mind accept that? Obviously not. So we assume, free will is something that we believe in, regardless of whether we think there's a God behind it or not. Regardless of our worldview, whether you have a theistic worldview or an atheistic worldview, the reality is that free will is deeply entrenched. The belief in free will is deeply entrenched in the way we think and believe, regardless of whether you acknowledge it. People act via the assumption that free will exists. Now, for an atheist, it's very difficult to acknowledge the existence of free will, because what on earth could possibly separate one species, which is us, from everything else? There's a missing link here. It doesn't really make sense. So for me, whatever worldview I have, and I do have a worldview, I do have a view on how things work, but I'll share that in an up-and-coming blog. So what I'm saying is that whatever my worldview is, it cradles the very existence of free will. I'm not going to ignore the fact I have free will. I acknowledge that I have freedom of will, and I have the freedom just to change my mind before I have to. That's what makes us free. And don't let any philosophy or any viewpoint discount the existence of free will. And okay, so we're at the 8-minute mark of our recording, so just bear with me. I'm just trying to think of more to say. If not, I'll just go outside and just show you the lovely what Philippines looks like today. We're here in Cebu, in the Philippines. I go back to Australia in 2 weeks. I don't have that much more to say, so I'm just going to go out and just I'm not really sure how to turn the view around, so I'll just turn the phone around like this so you can see. Now, I've shown you this before. I'm only showing you this because I don't really have much to add to this topic, and I do promise you every blog will be at least 10 minutes long. Right? So we're almost at the 10-minute mark now, but just enjoy the view, enjoy the essence of the Philippines, and just big nasty thunderstorm coming. Hear that rumble. Wow. We're into the rainy season, but it hasn't been that much rain. It's actually been drier than what I thought. Well, I think today's going to change. I think that looks pretty nasty up there. So we have people playing basketball down there, enjoying the steamy day. It's about 30 odd degrees, but this overcast weather, it really helps. So when the sun is up there, it's way up there, right there above us. I tell you what, you can really feel the heat when there's no clouds in the sky. but this time of year it's muggy as. So this is our pet dog Whitey, 4 years old.
You like Robitussin?
Lovely wife. Robitussin, have you got it?
Yeah. No, listen, my Robitussin. Huh?
I've got a bit of cough, so my wife has organised a trip down to the chemist to get some Robitussin for my cough. Anyway, I'm going back to my, I feel that lovely, cool, air-conditioned room. Okay, now we've hit the 10-minute mark. Yeah, so I'll just summarise what I was originally talking about before. Free will. Human beings have free will. We have freedom of will. What that essentially means is that we are able to change our attitude before the encounter of sufficient psychological and or physical duress. Animals, on the other hand, do not have this capacity. An animal will only change its attitude upon the encounter of sufficient psychological or physical duress, right? I believe this is a cornerstone attribute which separates animals, separates human beings, us, from our animal counterparts. And this is it's a foundational issue, right, as far as I'm concerned. I've never really heard any people talk about it, but I will admit it is a theory. Now, there's a difference between teach and preach. Okay, a viewpoint is only factual when we know fundamentally can't be wrong. Okay, so we have every right to teach facts. However, if your viewpoint does incorporate the possibility of being wrong, then just be humble and relegate that viewpoint as an opinion only. An opinion, you don't have to satisfy the burden of proof. Now, a fact, you do. Okay, so what that means is, this is just my opinion. So what I'm doing today, I'm preaching. I'm a preacher. I'm not an ordained preacher, but I am a preacher because I'm offering an opinion. A preacher is just anyone at all out there, YouTube or otherwise, who offers an opinion. That's what a preacher is, and that's all a preacher does. Now, much of my blogs will just be me preaching my thoughts. However, built into some of these blogs will be facts. Man, for example, it's an absolute fact that the Big Bang Theory is false. That's a fact, and I'll prove that in a different video. Okay? So I didn't want, so I'm just 13-minute mark now. So I'll get it up to about 15 minutes. Okay? So got a little bit of a cough. It's a little bit humid up here. But it's a nice vacation, you know. On the way here, I got here via Singapore Airlines. I don't like the new check-in process at the Brisbane Airport. I don't like that at all. The way that they make us do all the check-in facilities ourselves, so we have to put the tags on our bags and scan our passport, and I think there's a lot of confusion with that. For me personally, when I travel international, I like to see that face, that face at that check-in counter. That face, whether it's male or female, it represents the interface between the old world that I'm temporarily leaving behind, and the new world that I'm temporarily entering into. That beautiful face is the difference. Now, what the airlines are doing now is they've taken away that beautiful face, and so the joy of traveling, so it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And that's what I felt as I was flying here to Cebu. When I got to Brisbane Airport, it all looked new to me. I'm thinking, don't tell me we're going to do all this nonsense ourselves. So I'm quite disappointed about that. I'm quite disappointed the airlines are going in this direction. Now, when you actually count the staff between the old check-in process and comparing it to the new check-in process, there's not much of a difference in staff levels. So they're not really saving all that much money. I can't see how they're really saving all that much. Maybe a few pennies. You know, I mean, relative to the actual change in what they're saving is probably very little. You know, I mean, maybe 1 or 2%, maybe 5%. I don't know. But it just, for me, it's a disruption to the joy of travel, and I don't like this at all. I frown upon this, and I don't like. Yeah, I used to enjoy traveling with Singapore Airlines, but I don't now. And the only reason is because of this new check-in process that they've started, and I hate it. Absolutely hate it. It just, you know, that face at the check-in counter, for me personally, makes all the difference. Okay, so I've reached almost the 16-minute mark of this blog, or 15 and a half minutes. So I won't go any past 20 minutes. I thank you for listening. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to beg. There are a lot of YouTubers out there that, oh please, please, please. And they're almost like on their knees getting you to subscribe. But I'm not like that. So if you want to subscribe, that's good. If you don't, feel free to enjoy my videos without subscribing. Honestly, I'm not that fussed. Anyway, until I see you next time, I bid you farewell. Bye.